been with the student council for an hour, 2 hours. So I'm like,
you have 5 minutes.
what is it?
If you want to have a smoke break. Because we're getting a camera, so we record this.
The assets still haven't been resolved, but my purchase orders have, I suppose, right? They all got.
I think so.
So there's no issue.
Is busy.
So I don't.
She's with someone from digital arts.
Okay, shop. Now we've set up shop.
So sweet, that's again my fault. So basically, what came through this morning was the cheap hotels and the expensive hotels. And I should have approved. Should I have approved the expensive hotels because I would have got better rooms?
Perhaps, but it's fine. It's okay.
Yeah. Is it?
I don't know.
Is it? Because I was like, but at least I have to check the budgets, right? Yeah. I suppose I can always ask for an upgrade when I'm there, right?
Yeah.
Try to wear the earphones.
We hope so.
I hope so.
Yeah,
but everything after this, I'm gonna leave. I don't think I'm gonna stay, so I can go to label and find out if there's anything.
Oh, okay. Because there is something, and
what is it? Okay, maybe update me while.
Then you take a photograph of the serial numbers of all these assets, and just do it from here, right? And you can, at least you've got them.
Yes, but I need to understand because I don't. This new thing.
What I'm saying to you is, we keep these assets off campus for a year.
Yes.
Right? I don't want any person coming to me and saying Dr. Tobe stole these things or they got lost. I'm being very responsible here to everyone. No one is helping me. So they were sitting here and I specifically came into Level this morning. I said, Level, this is my life.
Sure.
I'm here at 8 o'clock.
I'm pretty fast.
And the office door was open. But I'm not going to get into that. Because she's doing purchase orders. But the point is that
What did I do?
this has to be photographed. Right? And the camera, the battery has the serial.
Well, is the angle okay?
Much better. Nice.
Just waiting for the camera.
Don't worry.
Check my phone. Okay, thank you so much for organizing those tickets for that guy tomorrow. And I'm hustling money from Rockefeller for that. You saw that, right?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy Antigone or you looked at a lot in pain?
Yeah, the link was disturbing me. Because the doors were open. Bobby's gonna come and take pictures.
Sample. Small and cool.
Okay, so the legal document with South Point has been shared. Okay, so no word from Malika. Oh, what?
But she didn't send me a number. She sent me
Hey, you? Yeah.
Okay, my phone is here.
And a very good afternoon to you all.
How are you doing?
Hola.
How's that?
Like yourself.
How are you?
Good stuff.
What's up?
What we do is at 12.
Yeah.
What time is it now?
Man,
1 minute to 12.
and you and me. So we had a lovely conversation.
Thanks for bonding, eh? Yeah.
Very nice.
Here's my new thinking. You ready?
No.
Aside from all the crisis you've seen.
Because I've been with student council for 2 hours. My head is in a wall.
Did you see my note?
Yeah, I want to interrogate it today. I don't want to even look at.
Are you going to be taking videos?
Yeah.
I was doing something else. I'm not following that because the quality is crap. Okay. Are you going to be able to take videos for me now?
Well, I've just given another.
I can assist. If you want, I can take the photos. Then you take the videos on your phone.
And it's not brokering with the new CEO.
Yo, what was that song?
The
Let me make space.
Oh, should I ask when else night?
Yeah, new CEO.
What do they want to get?
Can I?
Yeah. Sure.
Do you know in
And then I'll transfer
ingxaki.
Yeah.
Yintoni ingxaki?
Yeah, just, I don't mind. I'm just putting it on silent because my battery is only
In
going
my
to
is that of my laptop engine.
Well, I'm also been setting up the podcast for our little.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so we doing audio visuals. So now
So I have no way to get these
it's
pictures.
time. We're moving with the time. Before AI
Like
takes us
snap
into
back.
it.
I'm going to find a cigarette and a cool drink.
Can't go away
You
from
can't-
that. Stop.
I'll just use my.
You can't send it to the computers.
The process we do.
As now you know to go open that.
Right.
Can't just go, oh, come.
Damn.
What do you mean?
You don't understand any of the
I need a laptop.
About
on anything.
Even if gay.
what? 2 hours left now.
I have my own laptop here.
Yeah?
The laptop I have now, in Nanziga, but the SD card is not reading.
I don't know if mine will read SD.
Are you the head of the department?
Like there's something wrong with the actual card.
Which card? This card. But it was working, Kumalunga, so it can't be the card.
Got that? Thank you, love.
No, even on Nanziga, I'm not gonna like something happened, something changed because the way it was working last year. Alright. The way it was showing up on a laptop was different.
Ask him how he wants the videos since it was uploaded. Landscape or what.
I'm going to get it
Throughout.
Yeah, I'm going to do it for you.
Yes.
In fact, I'm going to hand you a document.
Yeah, go through it.
A very confidential
Yeah, like short.
in front of me and you shred.
Yeah, I think hectic. Yeah,
I carry
always
very
carry
every single person that I've engaged
I think I
with for the
should
last
be
2.5 years.
Yeah, everyone.
Huh?
I've been trying to just smoke or
Every
something.
strategy.
See, now we
Every strategy.
we're ready. We're ready.
How
We are
do you
always
handle
live.
it?
It's my
How
live.
do you do
Yeah,
that?
we are live. We are live. We are live.
Okay, so
It's just also.
Wait,
He
no,
said, he said
No,
so
no,
I
this
think
is
let's use that smoke energy.
the post also.
He said no, and
She's coming. I don't know when she's coming.
No, we
She's
sit
sleeping over
together
for
because
the
we are
weekend.
already live. So yeah.
I just want to get my pen so that I can make notes.
No exotic
What did I want to say?
Nobody
I
in the
think
audience
just
put
take
the
them
world on the end
and
of
then
your
we'll
digital.
see. I don't know
See it
what
like
to
it's
say.
the end of a penis, right? Holding on for dear life.
The second
I'm
one,
going to start.
Level.
Together.
Are we going to start?
You know how hectic it is when you're in the theater.
That's our, that's our, and then hopefully we're going to the office.
Yes, but this is also for
You're
you.
welcome. We're still waiting for
You want to
you.
get
I don't know when he wants them because their podcast. So after they come, yes.
To be able to think of things. So just be with us.
No.
Don't go away. We are with you. It's the heartbeat. You know how we are.
You show yeah.
Politically,
Take my eyes at you.
health-wise, we are there.
But
So
they're speaking
we
about
welcome you
the
now as we starting it live now. Now I can see you. You see me.
Yes, he's
From a chat there, if you see me and if you hear proper, because the mic is on. And we need to put doctor at the mic. Let's mic the doctor.
Like the doctor.
Yo, look at this. Someone's already taking a photograph of this.
I'm literally coming to
There, proper's there.
Is this going live?
We already are.
This is live.
Do you want me to monitor the?
As well.
Oh, he's over sharp.
Don't bear as well. If
By the way, the two that
The green light here. Ne? You see the green light? I need to have the green light.
All the time. Okay.
I saw this morning, sent to Sean, he said, I had to explain to you that he had to swipe.
Yeah, because it's not it's new age.
Yeah.
New age interview.
Good up.
Okay. So we won't be making use
I
of.
can hear the dog clearly, yes.
So I just talk. I don't.
Yeah, no. I need to monitor the sound because if I got you on the mic, look at our astronaut.
Yes, please. Alvaleki Ngam, the other one, but one of them.
So you try to get back
Welcome,
to the
Doc. Welcome to the heartbeat of the nation, where we speak art, where we speak politics, where we speak health. But it's Sestratin, salute. We welcome you all wherever you are. Dr. Maya with me here. I told you in the previous podcast, good to see Senkweli, Sobangena. We in the University of Witwatersrand Theatre. You know how it is when we're on the street, when we are watching, because we keep our finger on the pulse. Yesterday, I just had a very interesting day because I came here in the very same space and watched a very interesting work. Prof is going to talk about it, Doc is going to talk about it more and elaborate. But now, let's firstly know who's Doc. You know, Dr. Maya, welcome to the Hanbi. Can you kindly tell us, Doc, who you are?
Yeah, I could sort of say so many things. I was going to say I'm the cat that ate the cream. I often describe myself as an interdisciplinary creative arts practitioner.
Sorry about that.
Who drops his mic. But I'm currently head of the Department of Theatre Performance, known as TAP, in the School of the Arts. So I'm an academic and a manager, and a researcher and a teacher and a practitioner. And amongst other things, I write, I'm a playwright, I have a book series out called Wild Zones, which I really want to point to. And I get involved, I'm an academic citizen. I suppose multiple things, which is I suppose always confusing for people, isn't it?
But people which we need in our community, because they also bridge the gap between academic and community and making sure that they create solution to the social problems, and artistically and creatively. They are the people that are engaging. Obviously the kids come, you know, to school and they come to be equipped with knowledge so that they can be able to handle it in the outside world. So that's why I'm like, you are very important to be able to usher a new generation, new thoughts, new solution.
Well, yeah, I mean, academics are very important, but they're also very privileged. And I've always pointed back to that, really, when we talk about the academic space, and it's uncomfortable for some, but Angela Carter wrote a brilliant novel about academia. Angela Carter, the dystopic feminist science fiction writer, called Heroes and Villains. And it's about academia in the future. And so what she says is that in the future, when there's real chaos and anarchy, the world will be sadly divided between the university and whatever's on the other side of the university walls. And so when we go back to the idea of how the university was established as a medieval entity or fortress.
As we are about now to speak about the work, why Antigone, why in that trilogy, and you decided to go, no, I'm going here. And I don't know if I mistakenly read and I was excited when I saw Antigone and the way it was written, and I don't know if it's me or I was inspired.
No, I was playing with the Antigone, but also the AI. So I said to Dalia, blow up the A and blow up the I on the poster so that it looks, because part of Antigone, what is interesting about Antigone is obviously death, but in resurrecting this particular Antigone, and of course the term resurrection to Antigone is important, but there's an interesting perception. I did a search on Antigone and AI when I was preparing for this production. And there's a very interesting theory about the second death. And in digital gaming, and in the digital world, and in the game, you can have a second death. So AI also kind of establishes the notion of the second death. So what is the second death? So you're playing a game on PSI or
PlayStation.
Yes. You're given two choices. So you fight your way through it. And then you die. But the computer provides you with a chance, a second chance, often. Right? It says you can get enough health credits, or you can find a secret sword that gives you life again. And it was talking about this idea that in the game world there is the second death. And Antigone kind of works with the second death. Because she is, the brother is already dead, but the burial of the brother provides the kind of second death, but also calling on her own death, which is then the second death. And so death is so, I mean, it has multiple kind of functions within the play. But I always believe that theatre, I think one of the most wonderful things about theatre is its Lazarus. You know, it's the only discipline essentially that is enables the resurrection of life.
Yeah.
So we're incredibly messianic in that kind of way. That theatre, what theatre does every single day when it's performing, is that it dies and comes back to life, dies and comes back to life, and that's the Lazarus. So we are presenting the miracle. We're really presenting the miracle of Lazarus as the only arts discipline that can do that.
Interestingly, Doc, the way you decided to lay out your presentation as well, because you understand we are in the current times as well, and taking the text and taking the story as it is and putting it in our time. I saw phones, I saw something through the eyes of the now generation as well, integrating it and welcoming to the content of this African aesthetic that I saw within the work, even the translation, because it's not about also translation to find myself going, no, that's translated African with the words of the text as well. Yeah. But the way you manage, like I said outside before, to say the way the kids handled the text, and I know some of them are just in their third, second year, some first year, but the way they were able to embody it, because firstly the body is in Africa. The body is in that. So when the text lands, it lands in a different manner. But the way you were able to make them understand the merging of the text, the body, even through translation. How did you achieve that? Maybe
I think essentially we've got to go back to the original text, because I think there's multiple answers to this. So the original text was commissioned 20 years ago by the Royal National Theatre to myself and Sean Mathias, who's a Welsh director and playwright. And Sean, it was originally Sean's project in the sense that he wanted to do a play in South Africa, and he felt that Antigone at that time was the project he wanted to do, and that he approached me as the co-adapter. So what happened was that we got when the project started, the Royal National Theatre commissioned a Greek scholar at Cambridge to go back to the original Sophocles' text and do an immediate translation from that period. So we got the fragments. We only got fragments. We didn't look at all the other copies of Antigone. We got these original fragments from Greek to English. And they weren't in sequence, they weren't logical. They were literally like parchments, that we got parchments, that we then had to then work with to turn into what the text is today. So people take for granted what they saw, they're seeing in the last, as Antigone is a play that we just took from the library or something. No! We spent 6 months on that beautiful translation and adaptation. And I think that's this unknown strength of this work, is that the students understand that, and they also didn't have to work so hard because the text already existed in its strength, and it had established itself and could give the bounce. And I was very happy that that was already established. So originally we worked on a fragment, then we turned it, and Sean's original idea was he wanted to set it in a refugee camp in Darfur, or controlled by the United Nations. He wanted this idea that, and it was at a very particular time, so we wrote it during the period of Kofi Annan, who was then the United Nations Secretary General, who remodeled on Creon, and then modeled, and John Carney then played that part. So what was only on set was a crashed an American Apache helicopter, and Creon had his cutters in the helicopter, and that was the only thing on stage, and everything was about the refugee camp, or that idea of dysfunction. So 20 years later, my objective really was that multiple things. I was very interested in the play, again, to do. I thought it was a perfect play to do. I thought that it was also because I was leaving to go on sabbatical, I wanted to do one last project here, because I wasn't teaching and I wanted to know what the students were thinking and how to engage within my separateness from the department. So often when I work, it's just interventionist. I was beginning to understand on the ground what was happening in the department and the theatre. Why students were late for rehearsals, why they had so much issues with studying, why there was suddenly I was beginning to understand things on the ground that I didn't really.
So you were hands-on now.
Yeah, like, and I was like, yo, the students are coming to rehearsals and they're third year, whatever. You know, like, why, what's going on?
Getting on top of things.
Yeah.
Getting on top of things.
So there was all of that, but also for myself personally, I'm in a period of mourning, and not politically and socially, and so I suppose the play is about mourning. It's a mourning play. Yeah. And exactly. So
it's like culture, it's preserving of that. And I want to also to go to the law, because currently the law is something else, the SAPS, the scandals that I have
so
been
relevant.
and when I saw yesterday beyond the law, I was like, is Doc aware of the current state of the nation and what he was just portrayed even now and dissecting, and really there was a scene as well when the tyrants came in and there were laws in which needed to be rewritten and Creon was frustrated to go, but now you want to break my law, and which for me took me to the state of our country in the law, as our president finds himself understanding what's the law and the people who are supposed to uphold the law. This is where we find them. And when I was watching the piece yesterday, you guys have to come and watch the piece, because I'm speaking about things that are also in the piece. So when I was watching the piece, it became relevant for me on that matter to go, is Doc, you know, quite aware of such a message, because it's also power, because it is relevant, it is also on people's lips, it's on our tongue,
we're talking about
everyday life.
I mean, I was thinking about, you know, somehow that question this morning, but I was like, and not essentially that, but you know, we are dealing with a play text that's almost 2,000 years old. So I mean, we're not testing out something, you know what I mean? We're not testing a new play.
No.
We're dealing with a very serious text that's been tested around the world for 2,000 years. And so essentially, the play deals with the fundamentals of our human condition. And our human condition, our human conditions in a kind of universal philosophical space will always be about individual freedoms versus state law. You know, and do we jaywalk because we've got to cross the road, or do we get arrested when we're jaywalking? And then I think we can take it, you know, take it right to that bare essence. I mean, when I spoke to Sharon, who plays Antigone, and we hadn't cast yet, and I said, Sharon, how comfortable do you feel about a white female in the current space playing a white Antigone? What does it say about privilege? What does it say about? And she said to me very interestingly, she said, you know, everyone has the right to mourn. And mourning is not about class, color, race. It's mourning. And I thought that was a really profound answer. She said every human being has the right to mourn. And I was like, okay, well then, you know, then our concept is solved, you know, because and so that was a very important response to me. And I think that her performance in particular is an ownership to that, you know, roots it in a particular way. I mean, I think she's had a very successful development to Antigone because of that principle.
Sure. There was a scene, Dog, and I'm curious also, of the crowning. Yes. What was going on within the image as well?
Okay, that came later.
That's also a powerful image, as
So,
you understand certain things about crowning, about giving somebody the crown, taking it from somebody
absolutely,
else. That was also powerful, and also the representation of the characters in which they were taking the crown and putting it on, and so I was like interested, like what the image.
No. It was a very interesting development there.
Yes.
So I call this production the Bring and Bride production. because really essentially because of austerity, our budgets, often the students themselves bring in wonderful things. We go, okay, we need this, we need an umbrella, no one's helping us, we've asked for 2 weeks, the student comes in and brings a beautiful umbrella. You know, and so often I've said to the Bring and Bride. So when we're talking about privilege and crowning, again, Sharon, as the Antigone, said that she used to be a beauty queen. You know, she was doing trophies, beauty queens, and I thought that was very interesting. And then she's like, I've got some crowns at home, and I was like, okay, bring them in, let's see them. And wow, I mean, these are heirlooms. And then suddenly, Antigone and Ismene, I was like, let's use these beauty queen crowns, because it talks about privilege, it talks about the fairy tale, because essentially they're royalty, right? And what I mean, how do we establish that royalty? So they're doing these crowns, and I mean, I'm interested by it, but I was also like, yeah, it's deeply, I mean, it's problematic as well. Here we are crowning this white chick in front of everyone with a crown. You know, I was like, yeah.
Whoa,
You know,
that got me a little bit. But
And
since
then-
you're explaining now,
No,
I understand because I creatively wanted Bella to ask it. Was
Yeah.
serious.
And then a Mahle one in 3 nights ago, a Mahle who plays one of the priests, sees the crown, and this is what I've been encouraging in the work, is that, you know, they've got these worlds, sees the crown, and goes, I'm going to put it on. You know, it was in 3 nights ago, and I thought that was the most wonderful gesture. It was amazing. So Mahle steals the crown, because it's no one's got it, puts it on himself, and then wanders around, does his own thing, but it's eventually got to go to Ismani, so Ismani can give it to Antigone. So I see him over there, in the woods, I go, Mahle, whatever you do, get the crown. So they do some sort of exchange, and it goes back, and then I go home that night, and I go, no, but there's something we can sort out now. And I go, wait a minute. Creon takes the crowns from them. Because Creon's not going to let them go with that privilege to their death, and they've been punished. Creon, we have to see Creon taking his crowns. And actually, he pays Tiresias with the crowns for the gods. And then when Tiresias takes those crowns, Tiresias can actually crown the new princesses, which is the new priests. You know, so it's essentially, this was a wonderful thing that happened. It just kind of, you know, it developed in rehearsals. I mean, in rehearsals, it developed in the 2 runs before we opened.
I just want to adjust your mic, sir.
And also, I think that what happens in this process is that, what I've learned about my own process is that over the last few days, you go home and you debrief yourself on the work that you see. You run the work when you get home, and then you make notes, and then you go, okay, well, what can I share? What can I appropriately share that doesn't dysfunction the actors, or I can organically take to the next day? I mean, I've stopped doing that. I mean, obviously they've got to settle and do their own thing, but that was a very important note, the crowning notes, and it changed the world.
It did, because at some point, crowning is not just crowning. It has a lot of detailing within it and understanding who's been crowned and who is giving the crown. It's like when we come from because somebody has to give you, somebody has to honor, so it's a very important gesture. And the way you used it within the story as well, that was quite interesting for me, and looking at the characters in which they took and they had to give back.
Yeah.
So that for me was also interesting. Talking about the way in which the crowns were used, the simplicity of your set, how did you manage with your team to sit and simplify the set, take us to the world, and also be relevant within the space as well? Because there's not much one can do, but simplicity is the most effective way.
Yeah, I think it's also resource touring. You tour, you don't want to oversubscribe your productions. I mean, the idea that you're going to, you know, we've got to really think strategically going forward. Why are you going to, you know, create works that demand so many things? And I think seeing this work over the last few days, it really imbues a kind of touring element. That what I've really invested with these students is that they can do it anywhere. I've said to them, work with the doors open, work with the noise, work with the sense that people come in and out. They need to understand that what was wonderful about
So Doc, that was deliberate yesterday for people.
Absolutely. And so the idea is that what was so beautiful about last night's show, what was so beautiful about last night's show was that people were just walking in. It was like a campfire, you know, just spread out. It was an amphitheater. It was what we can understand, that contribution of amphitheater ritualized performance that is established without being exclusive, without being elitist, without closing the fucking door. You know what I mean? Let's just talk for what it is. And so if we're going to create these worlds, let's be generous and generative about how we create these worlds. And I know that that's politics and that's got to do with a whole lot of other issues, and I'm not going to get involved in. But the point is, let's just go back to the simplicity of this production was also created on austerity, would you believe? It was created with a very little budget. But also one of the starting points in rehearsal to the actors and the designer was I was very interested in 2 events with theatres and the dysfunction. One was in Maripol, in the Ukraine when the Russians bombed the theater in Mariupol, and which is a very famous historical theater, and the residents of Mariupol sought refuge in the theater, and I thought, and the theater didn't get really, most of the theater wasn't destroyed, but I thought there was a very interesting kind of dynamic between what theaters do, how they provide sanctuaries, but they also get destabilized. And then this year, very recently, the Israelis were bombing Beirut, and a similar thing happened. The residents in Beirut went into a theater to find sanctuary. So I said to the company, I said to them, that's our starting point. The theater that you're in is just coming out of a civil war. The theater is a sanctuary. The space that you're in, you're sleeping in. Your bag is there. You sleep here. You're providing sanctuary. That's our starting point. Before we even get to Antigone, you're someone sleeps and having sanctuary in the theater. So that's one kind of sense of what this is. Working with designer Dr. Dalia Farah, yes, has meant also collaboration that took my concept to another place at another level. So she took us back to some kind of ancient Greek reference.
Yes.
But importantly, and I want to talk back to that, which is another note on the design, but the sense of the dysfunction that is not yet completely complete, that the temple has fallen.
Yes.
And it's a little bit off.
Yes. There was some time at some point we tried to move over this because we were feeling some kind of like something is shaky.
Yes,
or something
it's an earthquake.
it was not certain. In the theater as well, we were like vibrating.
So interestingly, when I sent her some concept notes, when we started the conversation, I looked at Greek Egyptian artifacts because Dalia is Egyptian. And I said to her, let's look at the Greek Egyptian influence. The moment when Greece entered Egypt, and let's look at those references. So if you look at the poster is a Greek Egyptian fragment of a woman crying, which I sourced and gave to Dalia and then she reworked. The images of the kind of iconography that is happening around the theater is Greek Egyptian influence. So it's that moment when the Ptolemy kind of culture entered Egypt. So the Greeks, in that, and this is the kind of colonial moments of Greece, which are kind of interesting. That moment, which is pre-Roman, there was a kind of family mafia control over Egypt that came from Greece, the Ptolemaic family, which is where Cleopatra comes from. She's Ptolemaic. We look back at those kind of references, and then of course the collaboration happened. I mean, I'm very happy with the set. I'm very happy with the simplicity of it. I'm very happy with this table that is just essentially just a drawn table.
Team.
Yeah, and
the kids. It's wonderful. The tech team.
Yeah, the tech team is extraordinary. The tech team was purely lovely. I mean, they really got it. And I always said to them right from the beginning also is that Antigone is the theatre. The theatre is in mourning. The theatre wants to bury. The theatre refuses to bury. It's that kind of dynamic, because essentially it takes a lot to ask someone to play Antigone. I mean, you've got to, this is a lot. That's a lot. And so kind of re-establishing what that meant to everyone was that, okay, well, this is all set. The mouse that ran into the theatre last night is Antigone. I said, we should call that mouse Antigone. So Antigone, anti-mother. I mean, Antigone means anti-mother.
That's why I started with the conversation with the title as well. When you decided to put it like that, it was so interesting for me because it was not just given that. It made me think. It made me want to come to understand how the title will be unpacked, because we know the story, we know the trilogy, we know what's cooking, but for the twist that it had for me, that drew me in.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good prompt. Maybe when I come back from my sabbatical at the end of 2027, or middle of 2027, maybe the trilogy gets presented by the same company. Because I think that's interesting, because in some ways, doing all three would set, it's really like a Game of Thrones, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
You set up the whole world in three, and that makes it interesting. Yeah. This is the last chapter. Really. Antigone is the last chapter.
The last chapter, yeah.
And it was only because I know the play well and I thought it was appropriate. I mean, also, can't do the play without a Creole. And Melondi, let's be quite honest, has defined Creole in such a wonderful, brilliant way. You know, in my opinion. I mean,
it's also the merge of technology and seeing an old guru messing themselves with tech, not being afraid, because there's this gap between the old and the tech.
Yes,
how they
absolutely
merge.
brilliant.
But she came in and she merged it, and for me that was like.
Oh, you mean Tiresias?
Yeah,
Oh,
yes.
I'm talking about Creole. I'm talking about, but I'm talking about the king. I'm talking about Melondi as the king. I mean,
The boy.
No, the king, the man. Melondi Jolly. King Creole.
You know what? So there's something that is interesting now that
You can't remember.
No. I'm interested in confusing. There was a boy that translated also some particular lines within the story, and
As
God.
Huh?
The God.
The God. Oh, the God. Yes, the God
that's
messenger.
that's the
Oh
God.
no. Chase just grew. I mean, he grew enormously from the beginning to the
So
end.
that's changed.
That's changed.
And when they came in with the tag and mercy, because there's that monologue that also.
Oh,
goes
and
in.
also the speech that.
That's why it was like the phone using the.
Okay, the phone is
tag.
important. The phone is important.
Yeah.
The phone is essentially important because it's about the phone, and so the tension in the play also thematically for me is the tension between the analog and the digital, the traditional and the digital, and the phone is the mask. So if we essentially establish what the phone is we put the phone here, we're masking ourselves. Look at these two in the audience; they're on their phones. Anita and Bongi are on their phones, and so essentially they're already absorbed in that world. It's gone. They're gone for 20 seconds. And so the phone is dangerous. It's the weapon. It's the war. Our wars that are fought at the moment are on phones. The Gaza war is on phone. Ukraine is on the phone. And so what it's a very interesting kind of thing to think about. So he stabs himself with the phone. The phone is, as I said, the mask. The phone is Antigone's protest.
It's all with the phone.
It's Instagram. It's Instagram. You know, I was like, I said to Creole, we had this whole debate. I was like, Heyman is forming you. You know, Heyman is forming you. As Creole, he's like, no. I said, come on. When these days, the political leader is Instagramming his political address. You know, in your makeshift office.
He drops punchlines on an Instagram.
Correct.
You wake up, you find your news there, they are saying you're fired. And you're watching it on Twitter or you're watching it on WhatsApp. And there are WhatsApps even now that people get arrested over WhatsApp.
You won't get a visa approved if your Instagram page says whatever it has to say. You know what I mean?
You see?
We are in this very difficult time because we all want our 5 minutes, but we also don't want to be surveyed. And unfortunately, it's a Faustian pact. As soon as you give everyone is in a 5. The problem at the moment is everyone's got their 5 minutes. Everyone is famous. Everyone is famous, but no one wants to be monitored.
And also take responsibility
for the monitoring.
Monitoring.
Come on, you want your 5 minutes of fame, you're going to be watched.
Doug, thank you very much for this conversation.
Yes.
In the previous episode, I told you guys I'll be in the theater, and some of you messaged me and told me you want to come, you want to know when, you want to know how, and I know you, Charmaine, I saw your message. You said you're going to make it on Sunday, so hopefully you're going to be here on Sunday.
I don't think there's a show on Sunday.
There's no show on Sunday, so the information you're going to get now about the show, when is it happening, dog?
There are only 3 more shows. There's
Three more shows.
There's one tonight.
One tonight.
At 7 o'clock, and there's one at 3 o'clock tomorrow.
And
there's one on Saturday night at 7 o'clock. And I mean, who knows? I mean, it would be wonderful if it could continue in some form. I mean, it is a set work, would you believe? And students should see it. We're doing a very, original take of this work.
It's what also they need to also reference. It's what they need to watch.
I don't want to talk about drama teachers in this country, and they're not my favorite people. So I'm going to be provocative. But I mean, essentially, drama teachers, get your students to see an interesting work. Stop pissing me off.
Please, just let them go to the theater as well. Thank you.
Wait.
We're not running out of time.
I wanted to talk to you about a very interesting thing that I thought about last night. Does 146 BC mean anything to you? 4-6 BC mean anything to you?
No.
Because I think that's, because if we talk about the theme of our talk, which is Greeks in Africa, African Greeks, I think this is a misunderstood moment in world history. So
School us. Yes.
So I was thinking about this last night. I was about, if we talk about colonization of the Greeks, what is their relationship to colonization? And what's interesting about the Greeks is that in 146 BC, the Romans took over Greece. The Romans conquered Corinth. They took over Greece. So this is an interesting thing. The Greeks weren't essentially ever colonizers. They were colonized by the Romans.
Do you hear that?
So the point is that, and why I was thinking about this, I was like, where does the word Greek come from? Grako. It's a term that the Romans use to describe the tribal people on the other side of the ocean. The Greeks never called themselves Greeks. The Romans called the Greeks Greeks. So I was like, how did that happen? Oh, it happened because you went and you conquered them and burned down their cities. So then you took over and had ownership. So it's a very interesting, this is an overlooked time moment. So the Greek time, we don't really completely understand because we can only see it through the eyes of the victors or the eyes of the colonizers. The Romans took over Greece in 146 BC. They went into Corinth, which was the capital of the Adriatic League or the Arcadian League, killed every single man in the city, and enslaved the women and the children. And that set up their control of Greece as a colony for the rest of time as we know it today. So I think that, Greece is very interesting, and then in the sense is that how it was taken over, but then it managed to find its way into the African continent through the ports on the side as intermediaries. They were never really colonizers, but traders and merchants. Alexander on the one point, and then on the east side of Africa, trading as merchants and finding a way into Africa, and in a different way that perhaps we imagine the British or the French or the Germans. And so it's an interesting dynamic about how we think about this civilization and these people.
I mean, it's historically significant what you just, alluded in terms of where all originally it also comes from. Because the now generation in which I know I'm on that particular space where we take things as on top of it. Possibly we want to deal with what's on the iceberg, not deep inside of it, and understanding how it also influenced the African content in which you have brought it into practice with it. Because now you find the very same event is relevant now, but we are speaking about something happened 1,000 years ago, but the same person who's sitting in Soweto, who's sitting in Dobsonville, who's sitting in Meadowlands, who's sitting wherever they are sitting, across the board, they can identify with the story, they can identify with the characters, with the themes of the story as well.
Absolutely. I mean, if you think about, also what's I think very interesting about this production is that it's mainly an antiquity of very young. And they're young girls, and that's what the play is written for. It's not, and so it's the responsibility. I mean, that's what's so interesting, is they're schoolgirls, essentially, that have been asked to take on this, or to take on this family responsibility. And I think that is very relevant to our history and our country. It's the school children who transformed our landscape. So it's
similarities as well, and they are vivid. They are evidently, and they are there. We can see them.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I hope so. I mean, I think that as I said, the phone is the mask. We have mask references. I mean, I think there's an expectation of when you present a classical work that people want to see the tick boxes. We want to see the mask. We want to see the Greek chorus. We want to see the pain, the tragos. But essentially, we can also break those rules, We can defy their expectation. And so that one comes in problematized, challenged, to think about the choices that the work makes. And I hope that what I realized in watching it is that what I think the strength of this work is that they can take it on themselves. This company can solve it for themselves. You know, it's incredibly, that's an agency that is important to them to know. They don't need me. They need it. I'm done. What they need is a world that they can share and interact with an audience.
Yeah, and we are here to support. Our main backup is to support in whatever way we can. Get to know information, get to know what's happening, understand what's happening, be there if you have to be there. And we are all also online, so you can also find things online. I know that also Vets has a page. You can also go to their page to understand what's going on, to understand what's in the theater, to understand these particular stories and the knowledge they come with, the understanding of not just creating work for just the sake of creating work, but to be able to ooze out this particular knowledge that we have. And when that, my head is like, because of the information that I got from that. Doc, thank you very much. We wish you all the best, but we know that the show is on today at 7, tomorrow at 3, and at 7 again.
Come tonight. It's going to be lovely tonight. I'm not around, so it's going to be wonderful.
Come tonight. Come any day as you have the time. Tickets, you can find them at Verts. Door, please come as many as you are. Bring the family, bring the kids, and more especially, bring the Gen Z. The Gen Z need to see such work. They really need to see such work. Thank you very much.
And just to say to you, Paul, this is an amazing thing that you're doing. I mean, this intervention, the way of kind of translating dynamic, it's incredible. I support it and salute it. And call me up while I'm traveling. Call me up.
We'll have a visual conversation.
No, yeah, absolutely. I think a good intervention would be when I go to the Theatre Congress in Melbourne. I think you coming in at a single moment. Let's talk.
Let's talk though.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
That was Dr. Maya Tab. Whatever, go Vets, touch line. Our finger on the pulse. Don't lose hope. Don't sleep. Vorna. Thank you very much, sir.
We thought you loved it, you called it a performance.
We still love. Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
That was lovely.
Ngokuzendela the drive now. Or slowing.